Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro adventure. At the end of another week, and the end of another poll, we've got a very clear winner with The Last Submarine for Twilight 2000. Now I'll cover that on the desktop, and as usual I'll be back at the end of the video with some other poll related stuff and some other channel related stuff, so I hope to see you there. You could be a Scottish laird. Under an ancient Scottish law where anyone who owns land in Scotland can use the title of laird before their name, a law which actually doesn't exist. But what the hell, I'm willing to assign you a piece of my garden in the lowlands of Scotland and offer you a printable certificate to use the title of laird. Just join our Patreon at the laird level, choose a section of my garden, and then you can be a laird of Scotland. See my Patreon below, where you can get access to my videos a week early, help the channel out, be credited at the end of videos, and stake a claim to a tiny little piece of Scotland. Offer has no standing under law. Offer does not give you any real rights to part of my garden. Offer does not really make you a landowner. Offer is no different to all other Scottish title offers out there. So, this is The Last Submarine. It's an adventure for Twilight 2000, released by Games Designers Workshop in 1988. Now, I'll go over to the back cover first of all, and go through it, before I discuss a bunch about the adventure, and then finally we'll delve into the pages, because it is a very particular type of adventure. So, I don't know why I stayed with the team. They offered to let any of us out who wanted out. Just say so and you're a civilian. But then the chief gave us a pitch about how we came through the war without a loss because we worked together as a team, and how we might be able to help the authorities rebuild our country by staying together. We're all a little euphoric over being back in the States after so many years on the sharp end. Frankly, if I'd known what was coming up, I think I'd have stayed overseas. The Last Submarine is a games module for use with GDW's World War III role-playing game Twilight 2000. The story centres around a group of characters operating out of the remains of New London, Connecticut. This lucky group must attempt to recapture the USS City of Corpus Christi, a Los Angeles-class fast-attack submarine, which was somehow found its way into the hands of a New England warlord. The warlord had managed to scrape up the necessary spare parts to repair the boat, a moderately knowledgeable crew to do the repairing, and sailor once she is repaired, and a nefarious scheme which will seriously upset governmental plans along the whole eastern seaboard. The players must locate the Corpus Christi, capture intact, and return the boat to New London for further orders. Information presented in this module includes source material for the region of southeast New England, background material on the Corpus Christi, a brief history of submarine actions in the Atlantic, and 6 programmed adventure sessions. The Last Submarine is the first module in a trilogy of Twilight 2000 adventures which will carry the Corpus Christi and her crew into an exciting odyssey across the Atlantic and through the Mediterranean, and will culminate in the exciting encounter in the frozen wastes of the far north. The adventures will surprise and amuse players and referees alike. As it says, it's the first part, because we've got a 1 in the submarine here to show it's the first part. Now, this is a fairly straightforward adventure. The players have returned from Europe, where the starting place for most Twilight 2000 campaigns, and they're dealing with the military government or the civilian government, and are sent to recover this submarine. It was the last US naval nuclear submarine in operation. It was in dock when the bombs fell, leading to the chaos, meaning that a local warlord managed to take control of it. It's pretty straightforward. They need to go and get this submarine. However, this is an open world adventure, like so much of Twilight 2000. So it details the entire New England area, Boston and various places around it, and sets up elements within that. So the players are going to be released into this world, doing favours for groups, going on errands, encountering different factions, forces, befriending them, making enemies of them, until they receive the information on where the submarine is, and they can then raid it. The actual gathering of the submarine is so minor to the rest of the adventure that it is the raid, and it's detailed here on the back page. You know, a few, 8 paragraphs of text detailing exactly how you'll raid it and how to recapture the submarine. It is a tiny part of the adventure. The rest of it is detailing things like the city of Boston and its factions, the groups which have taken control of the coast, how underworld factions who were smuggling things during the last years of the war have risen to prominence. So let's start flicking through. So, we've got to start off with The Last Submarine. An introduction, some referee's notes, and an overview of the adventure. Which is quite simple, because as it says, you're trying to recover the submarine. Very simple indeed. We've got Massachusetts, the New England sort of area, Rhode Island, Connecticut. We've got Boston itself, Worcester, Springfield, Cape Cod. Martha's Vineyard features quite a lot in it, or Vineyard, however you want to pronounce it. The culprit, so it reveals who has the submarine here, first of all. The course of the adventure, events and encounters. So there's random encounters as they travel around this area. And they're more specifically in different areas as you go into them. You can encounter different groups. So we've got New London Groton, consolidated city and town of New London in southeastern Connecticut on the Thames River. And it details the encounters. You can encounter brigands, scavengers, street urchins, a group of monks, craftsmen. If you befriend the craftsmen, they'll introduce you to the monks later because they trade with them. There's different rumours you can find about things. If you're going to Boston, you ought to go get by a UBF boat. Them punks in Boston are bad news, which we'll detail a bit further. There's personalities you'd encounter. The UBF, the United Brotherhood of Fishermen, who have kind of seized control of the boats and look after each other. Talking about how you can recover torpedoes, because obviously you have to equip the submarine once you've got it. Different encounters within the area. Shipyard rights, MP ambushes, sighted subs, same. Personalities. So John Carlucci is the boss of the United Brotherhood of Fishermen, also the de facto ruler of Cape Cod. Basically, he's a politician who was somewhat allied with the mob. And as the war led to shortages in supplies, the mob was able to smuggle things in and therefore gained power and influence. So when government fell, the mob kind of took over as a government, obviously because they were already armed as well. So we detail them. Captain Thomas R. Holmes, an aging Vietnam veteran with little else to live for but the dubious glory of combat. We're going to Boston. Well, Boston's slightly different in that it's been taken over by gangs rather than any controlling government. As society began to fall, a particular musician released music detailing on the lives of the youths and how they had no future, leading to them to start abandoning schools, and they have become the gangs and taken over, with him as their sort of leader. Dangerous Dane, I think his name is. But we go through the Razorheads, the principal gang of the Boston area, encounters in Razorhead turf, raiding parties, war parties, rival gangs, SDF raiders. There he is, Dane Be Dangerous. Oh, I called him Dangerous Dane, it's the other way around. Which details how he was a scholar, he started a band, and then took control because he was saying what the youth of the area were feeling, that they were totally abandoned, that they had no future. So we've got Carmelita Florentine, he is Dane's killer queen. And we've got different people through it. Am Dangerous, Griswold Greasy Fellow, Father John Allen O'Grady. Got more maps of the areas. The 43 Military Police Brigade, and how they were affected by the war. It sort of details, as society fell, what effects it had on a military company. So it goes through quite a lot of history about them and the areas they've taken control of. We've got their barracks and machine gun positions around it, inside the fort. So as you can encounter there. The main shipping point for war material prior to the barge attacks in 1999. And different characters in that area. Britain, the isolationist community, detailing the different things. Cranston, the heart of the isolationist community, the farming co-ops. We're getting quite through it because, as I said, these all detail areas and the encounters within them. So we've got lots of NPCs here. Amanda Britt was born to be wild, the only child of a wealthy New England political figure. The Gloucester Men. And then, as I said, the very last page is the raid. The final session of this adventure, in many ways the most important one, also the one in which the least space is required. To summarise, Corpus Christi has been moved to the UBF shipyard on Nantucket Island. Characters will find this out somehow during the course of the adventure, either from Father O'Grady, Stephen Britt, or a deduction from rumours and information gathered from several locations. And in case, a raid will have to be attempted in order to recover the boat. So it's got the map for the area, how they might have a diversion, what defenders are, and the conclusion of returning with the submarine. Now, this adventure is, as I said, fairly straightforward. You're recovering a submarine. But the fun of it is the fact that it details the New England area so fantastically. It's really fleshing it out. And although it estimates it's probably 6 game sessions to get through this, I could see this being an area where you were based for so much longer. The players could really get involved in the activities here without getting leads, running from side quest to side quest as they help different factions and get more powerful within the area before eventually discovering the location of the submarine. It's a really good guide to this area, showing what's happening in America when the game itself was based mainly in Europe. So I really, really like it. It's a fantastic adventure, and it's the start of a campaign where the players will end up on this nuclear submarine, venturing to other parts of the world and spreading US government influence once more. So that was the Last Submarine for Twilight 2000, and that won the poll with an absolutely massive 39% of the vote this week. An absolute delight, because I love covering Games Designers Workshop stuff, and some Twilight 2000 open world goodness, absolutely brilliant. Coming in second place was Out in the Black for the Serenity role-playing game. In third place was The Last War Hulk for the Alternity role-playing game. And tying in fourth place was Operation Rapid Strike for the Top Secret role-playing game from 1980. And Nightwalker the Villiers Affair for Millennium's End from 1991. Now, as usual, they're all cleared out of the poll to make space for another retro RPG poll. So this week, I'm going with very sci-fi things, for some reason. Just the way things turned out, which books caught my eye. So in first, we've got Wanted by Kraken for the old West End Games Star Wars role-playing game from 1993. In the second, I've got Starships of the Galaxy for the Woods of the Coast Star Wars role-playing game from 2001. Then we've got Vampire Kingdoms World Book 1 for Rifts from 1991. The Star Drive Arms and Equipment Guide for Alternity for TSR in 1998. And in fifth position, we've got the Reformation Coalition Equipment Guide for Traveller the New Era, also from Games Designers Workshop, but this time 1994. Now, I know which ones I absolutely love. I love myself some Games Designers Workshop stuff, but any one of them would be absolutely brilliant to cover. They're all fantastic books, so let's see how it goes. Other channel-related stuff, not much. We're just getting into the new year. Well, I'm still actually speaking to you from 2022. Hello from the past. And we shall, as we get into the new year, we'll settle down and we'll try and get things going. There have been a few requests for me to try and set up a different game other than Cyberpunk, to try something completely different. We'll talk about that on the Discord channel, so if you join us over there, we can have a wee chat. But apart from that, nothing much. And as usual, I've whittled on for way too long. So thank you very, very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.